My name is Renee Lazat. I am a keeper at the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum in the herpetology department. The desert tortoise will become active during our monsoon season, and this is also the season that we often will see some breeding behavior between the two sexes of the tortoises. So the males often approach the females and they initiate contact by bobbing their heads and touching noses. And that's usually a tortoise hello, as it were. She'll lay her eggs within a few weeks of mating, and usually by the end of June they're laying their eggs. And then the baby tortoises will emerge at the end of the monsoon season. So right around the end of August, early September is when we're going to start seeing those baby tortoises come up. They love grasses. Grasses is probably their #1 food source. But then the annual plants would be the secondary food sources. And fortunately, those are very available by the end of monsoon. Baby tortoises are predated upon by a lot of different things, whether small mammals will sometimes go after them. Some of the larger birds like ravens or even thrashers might go after the baby tortoises. So it's a tough life. You gotta really blend in and stay out of trouble.
My name is Howard Byrne, and I'm the invertebrate keeper here at the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum. The giant desert hairy scorpion is one that is our largest scorpion of this region, and it's really closely associated as other animals with our rainy season. So it stays deep underground, kind of following the moisture line. As the rains come and start soaking things, it moves closer up to the surface, and by our summertime rains, when those are really in full force, by that time it's on the surface looking for a mate, looking for food, and doing its thing. The breeding cycle, that's a really fun story because that scorpion will actually, like many scorpions, the males will actually do a little dance for the females to court her. And then they will actually lay down a special object called a spermatophore, and then they'll grab claws with her or pedipalps and they'll try to drag her over top of that to complete mating. If the mating goes well, the female will actually give live birth. And in doing that, she will fold her legs underneath of her body, making what's called a birth basket. The little ones drop into the birth basket and then crawl up on mama's back, and she takes care of them for a while. So just her presence is a great way to deter predators from eating the little ones. They don't do much. You know, while they're on the mother's back, they don't eat, they don't do much of anything. In fact, if you were to shine an ultraviolet light on the babies, they would not fluoresce where the adults do until they molt that exoskeleton. Then they'll fluoresce underneath a UV light. And then at that point, after they've molted, they will leave mama's back, disperse, and go on hunt on their own.
My name is Sandy Wright, and I work for Pima County Natural Resources, Parks and Recreation, and I'm an environmental educator. Some of the things we might see out and about are millipedes. After a good rain event, or usually early in the morning, we see them. Millipedes are arthropods. They have a hard exoskeleton, similar to insects and other similar species. And like some other species of insects and arthropods, they lay eggs, but they don't take care of those eggs. They lay the eggs and then move on, and when the little babies hatch, they're pretty much on their own and can survive on their own. Although probably most of them don't survive. They're preyed upon by other species. Millipedes are harmless. They're a great little creature to watch during the monsoon, and so there's no reason to fear them. You probably don't want to touch them, just like you don't want to touch other types of wildlife. Watch from a distance is a good policy. And they are vegetarians, unlike the centipedes that are carnivores, and sometimes people confuse those two.
The giant desert centipede is probably, to me, one of our most exciting animals. It has great warning coloration. It's a very willing and engaging predator. no hesitation. Sometimes tarantulas and other things can be a little hesitant about accepting prey, but the giant desert centipede is willing to engage, and it will eat almost anything it can overpower. Its breeding cycle is tied closely to that rainy season. It's another one of those animals that stays deep underground. They're going to wait for that moisture to reach closer to the surface. When they are ready, the male and female will mate. If that all goes well, she will lay eggs, about a dozen or 20 eggs, little yellow eggs in a ball, and she will wrap around them and rest her head like some snakes will do right on top and protect those eggs. She'll groom them and take care of them. When they hatch, they turn into little nymphs. At that point, she'll stick around just a little longer, and then they all disperse and go their own way. The Vinegaroon, or the whip scorpion, is probably, maybe by some people's standards, the ugliest and most awful, intimidating looking creature we have. The good news is it's not really around here where saguaros grow, but if you move down into dry grassland areas, right about where the oak line starts, again, during that rainy season, that's when they're going to come up, that's when we're going to see them. That's when you might, if you're lucky, on a nice rainy, cool night, run into the Vinegaroon. Instead of using a stinger or any kind of venom, it doesn't have any of those. But what it does is it can squirt vinegar at whatever's bothering it. So about 85% vinegar, just enough to irritate the eyes and the mucous membranes right into the eyes, mouth, or nose of something that's bothering it, is usually enough to have a smell and a taste that can change a predator's mind about whether that animal is on the menu. The Vinegaroons are going to be mating during that rainy season. The male is going to court with the female and mate with her, then he's going to leave and have nothing to do with the situation anymore. When mom has eggs, they're going to be attached to her abdomen. When those hatch, much like the scorpion story, they're going to crawl up onto her back, and then at some point over the next few weeks, they're going to disperse and go about their business finding food.
My name is John Weens. I'm nursery horticulturist at the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum. I'm in the Department of Botany. The monsoon means a whole lot for the plants and everything that's associated with these plants. Of course, nothing lives out here in a vacuum. The plants are here because there's pollinators, and the pollinators are here because there's plants. And when the plants bloom, the pollinators thrive. The pollinators start to reproduce, the plants are reproducing, and it's just a wonderful time of the year. The monsoon is a great time to see butterflies, many different species in Arizona. Some of them are migratory, some are ones that just barely make it up into southern Arizona. There's local resident butterflies, the birds, all kinds of little critters out there in the desert.
The monsoon is a great time of year to get out there and do some wildlife watching, because many of these species, that's the only time we may see them active. However, be careful when you're out there, especially near thunderstorms. You want to be careful and not go outdoors during those times, but otherwise get out there and enjoy our Arizona wildlife.